I'm adding another recipe to my fall sourdough series, and this one is an absolute must. This is my apple fritter focaccia, soft and fluffy, topped with sweet cinnamon spiced apples for that classic apple fritter flavor. I'm creating this series so you can save all of these recipes now and have plenty to come back to once the fall baking season is here. And trust me, you're going to want to save this one. To your bowl, you will add 150 grams of active sourdough starter and 400 grams of filtered water. You will mix these two together until well combined. Now you add 15 grams of olive oil and 30 grams of honey. You're probably asking yourself, where's the honey before mixing this together? And that's because I forgot to add it, but I do add it after the flour and the salt, so you'll see that next. So you add 500 grams of flour and 10 grams of salt, and you mix everything together until well combined. You will see here that I'm starting to mix everything, and then I was like, wait, where's the honey? So I went ahead and added the 30 grams of honey now, and then I mixed everything together until well combined. If you've been following my page for a while now, you will know that after I mix the dough, I do like to get my silicone bench scraper and I go all the way around the bowl cleaning it to make sure that the dough isn't stuck to the bowl or any dry bits of flour. I also like to go underneath the dough because sometimes there's dry dough bits on the bottom and I want everything to be well hydrated. So I go ahead and scrape all of that off from the bowl. And after I'm done scraping it, I just kind of try to shape the dough into the center like a little ball. You can see here I'm just kind of grabbing the sides towards the center. This is what the dough looks like, and you let the dough rest for an hour in between each set of stretch and folds. When you have high hydration dough, you want to wait the hour. That way it's easier to handle. You can see here that this is the first set and the dough is very sticky. So I will show you how to get that dough from being too sticky to manageable. You're going to grab your dough, stretch it and fold it over, doing regular stretch and folds. And then you will want to grab the dough from the center and flip it over and do some very gentle slap and folds, as you can see here. You want to be very gentle but very firm, just grabbing the dough and slapping it against the bowl very gently until the dough starts to resist and it's not really hanging from the bottom anymore. That's when you stop. If you continue, the dough is going to tear and it's going to start to look shaggy again like it did in the beginning. You can see that it's already starting to look smooth, but we still have a lot of work to do here. So I like to shape it somewhat into a ball and I let it sit for another hour. And on the second set, we're going to do the exact same thing. You grab the dough, stretch it, and you fold it over, going all the way around the bowl. And then you grab it and you flip it and do some gentle slap and folds. This is going to help strengthen your dough, especially if it is high hydration. I do this for even low hydration. I just feel like I get the best dough when I do this. So I highly recommend you guys trying this technique. And again, once you're done, you wait another hour and then you do the third and fourth set. You can see a difference here already that the dough is starting to rise, and now we're only going to do coil folds. This is going to strengthen our dough but also keeping it fluffy and preventing it from deflating and popping all of those little bubbles. So now after an hour you do your fourth set and we will do the exact same thing, only coil folds. You can see that my hands are wet. I do like to wet them a little bit. And then you just grab the dough from the center and pull it up and you can see that it is starting to rise. Now we let the dough sit on the counter for its bulk fermentation. Mine took about 6 hours from the moment I mixed the dough. And you can see here that the dough is kind of sliding off of the bowl because it has gained enough strength. And we cleaned the sides of our bowl so it's not going to stick to it when it's ready to be dumped out on the counter to be shaped or to put into the tray for the focaccia. Now let's work on our apple pie topping. You will need 3 apples. You want to dice them up into little squares or cubes. I used Honeycrisp apples, and then you want to saute them a little bit with some apple juice. You want to use about 60 grams of that, 60 grams of brown sugar, half a tablespoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You go ahead and saute it until the apples are getting nice and soft. And once you feel like they're starting to get soft, you want to add some cornstarch and a little bit of water to it just to thicken up that sauce. You will use 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 1 tablespoon of water. You want to mix these two together before adding it into the pan. You will let your apples cook for a little bit until soft. You can see the difference here. This was before and the apples after. And here I'm adding the cornstarch with the water. And you will mix this for a few seconds. You'll see that the mixture will kind of thicken up. And you will turn off the heat and put it into a container so it could fully cool down before adding it onto your focaccia. So I suggest making this as soon as you're done with your last round of stretch and folds. Now that our dough is done bulk fermenting, it's pulling away from the sides nicely and it feels fluffy and aerated. I also decided to make a cinnamon sugar like topping, that way it can give it an extra pop of flavor. This is the mixture here. It is 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 80 grams of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and now you will put your dough into the pan that you will baking your focaccia in. You can use a 9x12 baking dish. I am using 2 8x8 baking dishes, so it's up to you what you want to do, but I like to use the 2 8x8s because I can have one to give away and one to keep. I'm splitting the dough here in half, and then I like to put some parchment paper on the baking dish to make sure that the focaccia doesn't stick to it, especially because it has sugar on it. Sugar will tend to just stick to everything, and the parchment paper prevents it from doing that. I add a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of the parchment paper, and then I put the dough right on top of it, and I do the same for both, and then I start adding the cinnamon sugar mixture first. You can put this mixture in between the dough and just kind of fold it into itself. That way there's more filling into the focaccia. I just decided to put it on top because I like to have a little bit of contrast and not have it overly sweet everywhere. But it's up to you, whatever you want to do. Here I'm just putting the mixture on top, and then I will add the apple mixture right on top of this as well. And then I will let the dough rest for about 2 hours on the counter. I go ahead and dimple the dough just a tad bit before letting it rise. I don't know why I like to do this before and after. This is what it looks like before the 2 hours, and you will see what it looks like after the 2 hours of sitting on the counter. This is the after. Your oven should be preheated to 425 degrees, and you want to put these on the bottom rack of your oven. And I do add another lid on top of this just to prevent the cinnamon sugar from burning. You don't have to use a lid. I just use like another 8x8 dish. You can use some aluminum foil just to cover it up so it doesn't burn for 15 minutes. And then after the 15 minutes, you want to go ahead and take off the foil. I like to rotate the trays from front to back just to like turn it around so it can bake evenly. And then you bake for an additional 15 minutes without the lid or the aluminum foil. This is what it looks like when it's done baking. It's beautiful, golden brown. It's not overly burnt or anything. Putting that lid on top for the first half really makes sure that you get the perfect color to it. And now we let them cool down and we will add a drizzle on top. For the drizzle, I do some powdered sugar, a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of milk. You mix it to the consistency that you want, and then you go ahead and drizzle it over the focaccia once it's cooled down. If you add it too early, then it'll just kind of melt and you won't really see the glaze. But this is such a delicious focaccia. It literally screams fall. So I suggest you guys try this recipe out now. That way you guys can fall in love with it and make it later in the fall. Look at how delicious this looks. If you take this to any Thanksgiving or any Friendsgiving, you will wow everyone because this is way better than store-bought. And this is why I like to use parchment paper. You can easily just take it off of the container and just take it off from the focaccia itself because the sugar doesn't really stick to the parchment paper. I did get these little 8x8 trays on Amazon if you guys want to look for them. It was like a pack of like 30 or something. Super affordable. I can try to link them down below in the description. And this is the end result. I am going to cut into it so you guys can see the inside of the focaccia. It's super soft and fluffy and flavorful. It's not overly sweet, so if you're a person who doesn't like super sweet treats, this one isn't that. It has a perfect balance of flavors. This is what the crumb looks like. It's super soft and fluffy, and it's just perfection. I hope you guys try this recipe out. If you guys are loving this fall sourdough series, let me know in the comments down below. Look at that oozing everywhere. It's just perfect. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to see that you're here. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for still being here and for supporting my channel. And for our members, thank you so much for being so supportive. And thank you all for watching today's video. I'll see you guys in my next fall sourdough series video. And yeah, bye.